Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome, welcome, welcome. We are so glad to have you here to spend your Sunday evening with us. We know that you spent your Saturday evening with us, and we had a great time in Long Island. And first of all, we want to thank the people of Long Island for spending their time with us and for showing us around and welcoming us the way they did. The trip was a phenomenal success. It was very successful. We got to see exactly what's going on in Long Island, and we got to to deal with issues of the people and hear what they had to say. Um, I will tell you that the people of Long Island are ready for change. We were blown away by their reception of us, their understanding of what's going on in this country. We were absolutely blown away by the fact that everyone is saying that it's time for change. Everyone believes that the country is now a failed state. Everyone believes that we are suffering. We have been suffering through the last 50 years, and they want change. And so we are looking forward to going down there, launching our candidate, and getting ready to rumble in Long Island. We are ready for this fight, ladies and gentlemen. So thank you to all of you who opened your doors for us, let us in your homes, told us how much you love us, surprised some of your family members who didn't know that you also had already changed. And so thank you to all of you. We even had a politician's father tell us that he is hardcore COI. He is with us. He has been a hardcore of another party before, but now he is fully COI, and everyone is shocked. But of course, ladies and gentlemen, it's really time for change. We have seen the regression, and it's enough of it. It's enough of it. It's time to move forward in this country. If after 50 years you couldn't, making $3 billion a year, you couldn't build one hospital, it's time to move on. Next and better. After 50 years, our family islands can't have ambulances and fire trucks, the simple things. It's time to move on. But you could always have your police and your police stations, but it's time to move on. After 50 years, if we're still having conversations about water and electricity, it's time to move on. You make $3 billion a year and you can't get us ambulances? You can't get us proper water? $3 billion a year? And this country isn't working properly? $3 billion? $3 billion every year is what this country's revenue is. And all of our family islands are neglected. It's time to wake up. But that takes us to another topic. I'll get straight right to it today. Thank you to all of you who are watching from wherever you are watching from. In fact, we are continuing our Bahamas tour, and a tour of the entire Bahamas. And so let me know where you're watching from. All right. Let me know where you're watching from before we start talking about the big elephant in the room. Bahamar, Christie, his son, and don't forget, brave Allison Maynard and Jerome Fitzgerald. Where are you broadcasting from? Where are you watching from? Make sure you tag someone. Use your ad highlights. Okay, we got, oh man, there we go. We got, I think that's Gordon Ewing. I can't see it good. Watching from Pinewood. Jay is watching from Freeport. Thank you. Basil Lightburn is watching from Nassau. Oh my God, that is going too fast. I gotta. Oh my God. Okay, let me see if I can catch up with y'all. Okay. Jay Bryce is watching from Freeport. Basil Lightburn is in Nassau. Nicole Gibson is in Florida. Thank you, Nicole. Frederica Swain is in Freeport. Is in Clothesline Jr. is watching from in the bush. The Clothesline Jr. Marvin Storr is watching from Killarney. Kalani is in the house. Thank you so much. Golden Gates is also in the house. That's Charlene DeVoe. Marvin Saw, got to get rid of Menace and get rid of PLP. Let's put Dr. McIver in there. Lynch Jones is watching from Freeport. Marcia DeMerit is in Freeport. Celestina Newbold is in Marco City. Yes, we got to get rid of corrupt Michael Pintard. Brave Davis Puppet. He's the puppet master because he's the master of puppetry. But he is the puppet, not the actual master puppeting the puppet. He's Brave Davis Puppet and travel partner. He is Brent Simonette's puppet and Fred Smith's puppet. He has mastered this. He is breaking records. My Lord. Michael Roma is watching from Chicago. Welcome, Chicago. Lorraine Williams is watching from Freeport. Philip Johnson is in Riviera Beach. Right, way to go. Listy Lewis is watching from West Palm Beach, Florida. I was just there a few days ago. Zenovia Adley Colley is in South Beach. Welcome. Lynn Newbold is in Nassau. Welcome, Lynn. Veronique Lightburn is giving out that highlights. Thank you, Veronique Lightburn, for doing your civic duty. We love you and appreciate you. Shanique M. Is talking about Ingram that brokered that deal with the China XM Bank. I'm going to talk about all of that in a minute. I'm going to break it down for you. Anton Coldbrook is watching from Canada. Ellie Rolls watching from Black Point, Exuma. Exuma is where my family is from. I am a Roll Bow from Exuma. My mother was actually in local government for Rollville. Yes. And she grew up in Baratari and Rollville. Simon Brennan is watching from Fairfield, California. Fairfield, California. You voting you're able to vote in November in Fairfield, California, or you don't have your citizenship? Let me know. Let me know how you're voting. All right, because that's going to be interesting. What happens in America? Rod Turncrest is in Long Island. Adrian Russell is in Bimini. Mickey Clark is in Long Island, watching from Long Island. Mickey Clark, thank you, Mickey Clark. I enjoyed Long Island. Let me tell you something. Boy, I thought Andres people could cook until I experienced those people in Long Island. Let me tell you something. They put it down. I got to go back, Andres. Andres, y'all got to take them back over. So, Andres, Long Island, boy, they the best kept secret. Watching from Freeport is Oris McKinney. Thank you, Daryl Ash McKinney. Daryl Ashley McKinney is watching from Flamingo. Did I read that right? Yes, Flamingo. Lots of flamingos in Long Island, believe it or not. Craig Curry is watching, and he's in Green Turtle Key. He said, but I know where you are, Craig Curry. Marvin Evans is watching. Dexter Edwards is in Freeport. Welcome, Dexter Edwards. Got a call from Dexter Edwards about an hour ago. Dexter Edwards called and said, we heard that you had died. So this person said they seem so confident, they're sure that you had died. They got the message that you had died. And so the reports of my death are greatly exaggerated. All right? Yeah, greatly exaggerated. Yesterday it was Rodney Munker, and now it's me. All right? Rodney Munker told me that something is going on with him. He actually told me he is dying. I don't know what that means. He said we'll find out soon. But I don't know what he meant by that. I know he had something on his foot that he was walking with. I got to speak to him and let him know, I forgive him. I don't hold grudges. We are moving forward to the new Bahamas, and that was that. All right. So Lynx Jones again in Freeport. Shandiano Hall is saying good night. Ashley Thompson is in Oklahoma. Shandia, that's Ashley Thompson. Were you guys, who's that? Brian McCartney. Were you guys at my parents? Yes, Brian McCartney, you called me. But no, we were in such a rush on yesterday late. That's a long drive. Long Island is long. We were held up by people coming down from the north. People didn't want to let us go. We got all of our T-shirts that we brought. We brought over 300 shirts down there. We didn't even think we were going to get to see enough people to give that out, but every single shirt is gone. in Long Island, gone. And so we got stopped by people, and they were, talking to us and etc. So we didn't get to see your parents, but definitely I'll go to see your parents next time I get down there. Rochelle Farrington is watching from out west. Thank you, Rochelle Farrington. Dilly Roll is in Harbor West, 8 Mile Rock. All right, all right. Harvey Johnson is out on the water. Oh my God, you must have that Starlink going if you're out on the water. Anishka H. Roll is watching from Carmichael Road. Awesome, Carmichael Road. Welcome. Ruth Cassandra Adley Smith, all the government names. Ruth Cassandra Adley Smith is in Long Island. I just love Long Island. Listen, the beauty that I saw, and I wish, because I just traveled this evening, I wish I could have uploaded these videos for y'all to see in time of the images of Long Island. Jesus Lord, that place is beautiful. And there's a piece of property on a hill overlooking a harbor. The harbor looks like, when you see those pictures of Bora Bora and Tahiti with the beautiful beaches and the mountain, that we have that right here in Long Island. I did not know that. And on that hill, because they're trying to steal that hill from a family, there's a family that actually owns that. It's the Smith family. But of course, they're trying to take it from them. There's so many places in this country that they're trying to take property from Bahamians, but we are going to restore everything that the enemy is trying to steal from Bahamians. So you don't have to worry about that. That is coming. All right. As long as the people vote for it. All right. So, but that vision right there is beautiful. We have a plan for it. I won't expose the plan yet, but that is beautiful. We have Ross King in TCI. Marilyn Heel is in Abaco. Welcome. Brenda May Bain is in Nassau. Edward Smith, good night all. Abaco is in the house. Welcome, Abaco. We're working on your candidates right now. So just be patient with us. We're putting in the work. All right. So we had more candidates apply for Abaco than anywhere else. so we got to work through all of the paperwork and the vetting and all that. So just be patient with us, Abaco. We're going to send you someone so you can throw out the PLP and the FNM. Cigar Bros. Cigar Bros is my favorite lighter. I don't know what you mean. Jessica Frost is in Freeport. Paul Hepburn is in Eleuthera. Shanice is in Freeport. Thank you. Noah Lightburn is in Nassau. Welcome, Noah Lightburn. Big Bang is in Freeport. Save Old Bahama Bay is in West End. Oh, save Old Bahama Bay. Awesome. Yeah, we got to save Old Bahama Bay because what is going on there? It's time to go to war for that. All right. You heard it there first. It's time to go to war for that. What's going on there is absolutely wrong. And again, it's the PLP corruption again. But let me get to it. We've been going for I guess almost 20 minutes, and I got to get to this. So sorry for the rest of y'all I didn't read. Derek Benjamin Demera Jr. is in Freeport. Welcome, Derek Benjamin Demera Jr. We appreciate you. Lizzie Turnquest, and so sorry I can't read the rest of them. I'm so sorry. But let's get to it. Everyone remember to use your @highlights and your @followers and tag some of your friends and family. Make sure they're here. Make sure they know we are live. But let's get to it, ladies and gentlemen. We got a conversation to have today. Bahamar, there's an announcement from a representative of Bahamar, and I'm going to read that for you for persons who haven't read it yet. I'm going to read that for you so you can know exactly what's going on. Let me see how long this is. Okay, I can read that, and then I'll get to it. We got a lot to talk about today, so make sure you're seated, as always. There's some people who have said to me, Lincoln, don't talk about the corruption of these other parties. Don't talk about the negative of them. It's mostly people who support those parties that will say that because they don't want me exposing them. It's like, dude, just talk about the natural resources. Just talk about your plans, et cetera, et cetera. We can't talk about one thing. If we're going to govern, we got to deal with a lot of different things. You have to multitask. We have to let the people know what they're voting against. We have to wake up the people. No one else is doing it. The news is not covering these issues properly. They are covering up and only doing and saying what they're allowed to say. It is clear. And so we have the responsibility to educate the Bahamian people, which is what we committed to do when we got started with this. And so we are going to make sure that we educate the Bahamian people on what's going on. When different issues come up, they want to hear from me as to what's really going on, what's behind the scenes with this, and how should we look at this. And so that's my responsibility. Now, if there's anyone who feels that, oh, you're not talking about the natural resources, etc., as much anymore, well, let me tell you what we did with our natural resources and everything else. What we did was we put together a beautiful, expensive website where anyone at any time can go there. They can go to YouTube, they can go to my page at any time. We have not stopped talking about this, but we have a limited amount of time to deal with these issues. And so this is our website. And here you can go and you can see our candidates. You can see all of the lovely things on our website where we deal with transparency, integrity, vision. You can see a bio on me. If you want to learn more about me, there's some people who were wondering, what has Lincoln done? Who's Lincoln Bain? And so they put together some stuff about me, about our deputy leader and our chairman. And so there's a lot of things on our website. But of course, you can also see our candidates and news. They're going to start publishing news from here, proper news, so I don't have to disseminate all of these news. But you can also go here and donate. But also look at this, Vision 2025. And so we have summaries of Vision 2025. And this week, we're going to put up the whole entire Vision 2025. This is the introduction to it. The Sovereign Wealth Fund. This is a part of Vision 2025. It's there, 2025. Is it possible? That's from Vision 2025. The numbers to calculate the benefits from Vision 2025, all of that is there, and you can contribute to it if you want to. We're going to put together the full video. We didn't put together the full video because we had to edit some stuff in there, but we're going to put the full raw video up there so you can watch it. It is what it is. And so that's Vision 2025. Also, the vision. You can go here and you can see vision on education, tourism, energy reform, and good governance, where we always talk about island states and city government. Everything is right here. All right. You're going to be able to come here and see as we launch them, education, tourism, energy, our plan for all of these things, our plan for our land, take land, those people who have raped and robbed. So that's Frankie Wilson them and Orville Turnquest and them who've raped and robbed our people. And we're going to make this thing right. If the government has taken land from Bahamians, we're going to make sure they're compensated or they get their land back. So agriculture, healthcare, so all of this stuff is right here. So people can go here and start disseminating. We didn't put everything there yet, but we are moving on to Vision 2030, which is going to be an upgraded version of all of this. And we're taking it to another level. Also, the documentaries that made all of this famous, the documentaries are right here. Bahamian Evolution, Natural Resources documentaries. Bahamar San with Modern Gold was the first one. And so all of the documentaries are right here. Land Pirates was a very important one. So all of the information, Land Pirates Part 2 is there. Oil Wars is there, where we talked about the oil, and then the Aragonite miners, and that information is, all of that is right there. We talked about the salt, the limestone, all of that stuff is right there. And so we don't have to keep repeating this every single time we talk. You can just go to the website and you can see all of these things right there as needs be. All right. So with that said, I'm going to go over to this statement that has been released about the $1.6 billion verdict against China Construction America in landmark Bahamar lawsuit. Hisman and family prevails in case finding the CCA fraudulently thwarted the Bahamar project opening to serve its own interests. So they let me just read it. New York, October 19, 2024. BML Properties Limited has been awarded over $1.6 billion against China Construction America in its long-running New York lawsuit concerning the Bahamar project, prevailing on all claims. The size of the verdict not only demonstrates the scale of the loss to the Hisman family, but the extent of the wrongdoing by CCA. The decision, once and for all, sheds light on true events of Bahamar and how the unscrupulous actions of CCA and the then Bahamian government ousted Sarkis Ismailin and the Bahamar management team to the detriment of the Bahamas. The Honorable Justice Baruch ruled that CCA, the U.S. business unit of China State Construction Engineering Corporation, China's largest construction group, defrauded BML Properties as well as breached the parties' investment agreement, directly resulting in the complete loss of BML's $845 million investment to Bahamar. Sarkis Ismail, chair and CEO of BML Properties and the original developer of Bahamar, said, "I first conceived of Bahamar more than 20 years ago, only to see it ripped out of my hands at the brink of opening by CCA. The evidence showed that rather than fulfill its promise to have the resort ready for paying guests, CCA covertly used money to buy the British colonial Hilton in Nassau rather than paying subcontractors, secretly cut hundreds of workers during the critical run-up to the project's grand opening, diverted resources and key personnel to Panama to start a new project rather than finish Bahamar, intentionally slowed and stopped work on Bahamar in attempts to extort exorbitant and illegitimate payments, and ultimately conspired with corrupt Bahamian government officials to oust BMLP with catastrophic effects on Bahamar. The decision, called CCA's empty, fraudulent promise to achieve a March 27, 2015 opening date, phony and an absolute sham and shakedown of Mr. Ismail, who at all times acted commercially reasonably, honorably, and in the best interest of the project. Further, the court found that CCA's action caused a liquidity crisis, pushing BMLP out of its $845 million investment. And thus, Bahamar's Chapter 11 bankruptcy in June of 2015 was a foreseeable and natural consequence of the defendant's actions. We are grateful to have finally had our day in the U.S. judicial system and thank Justice Barak for his fair and thoughtful approach to the case, said Ismail. And we intend to proceed with the enforcement of the judgment in an equally thoughtful and prudent manner. And that is the case in case you want to go and Google it and research it for yourself. And so Sarkis has won the case. Ladies and gentlemen, the PLP is a special creature. God did not create that creature on the first, second, third, fourth, fifth, or seventh day. Satan himself created the Progressive Liberal Party. I can't say it any differently than that. In the meantime, I want you to watch this video, and then I'll get back and we'll get started.
The nation's chief says government has made significant strides in turning the economy, and the opening of the Bahamar project will be another step in the right direction. Good evening, everyone. I'm Charisma Robinson.
And good Wednesday evening, Bahamas. I'm Altavis Mannings. It's great to see you tonight. The Prime Minister wrapping up his last budget debate for this term in office, focusing on the accomplishments of the Christie administration. Project setting the record straight following opposition claims. Janae Noel Ferguson leads us off from the House of Assembly tonight.
Prime Minister Perry Christie revealing in Parliament that headway will soon be made in relation to completion of the stalled Bahamar property. He says he wants to keep the sale and completion of the project separate as negotiations continued. He revealed bidders have been shortlisted, noting that the original investor, Sarkis Ismail, is not one of them, although the government attempted to agitate on his behalf.
Two firms have been shortlisted, Mr. Speaker. One of them have a Bahamian investor connection, Mr. Speaker. But two firms have been. Mr. Ismail, Mr. Speaker, has not subjected himself to in all the talks we have had. He has indicated, Mr. Speaker, that he thought he ought to have been treated differently, Mr. Speaker. It is a matter for the receivers, managers. It's a matter for the provisional liquidators. It does not matter. The governor of the Bahamas, Mr. Speaker, and to the last possible moment, under my signature, wrote a letter to China indicating Mr. Ismailian's interests.
Prime Minister refuted claims that the government had any personal relations with any Chinese interest group and warned those who held any prejudice against the Chinese.
That one of the largest investors in Bahamas is Hutchison Whampoa in Grand Bahama, the owner of the container port. Make fun of him. Hubert Ingram did the right thing, you know, Mr. Speaker. It was his government that abandoned recognition of the Taiwanese and brought the Chinese government, the People's Republic of China, to the Bahamas as the Chinese representative in our country. And they talking about us.
And as it relates to the heads of agreement, Mr. Christie said that will be tabled by the minister responsible for investments. Now, he tabled 2 documents from foreign consultants who gave their opinion on the Chapter 11 Bahamar bankruptcy findings, which the Fort Charlotte MP took issue with.
That those opinions were paid for by the government of the Commonwealth of the Bahamas. And the correspondence were dated June the 20th, as indicated by the Prime Minister, and not at the time that this matter was actually in full bloom. So we have no way of knowing whether or not this was a rushed and panicked effort.
All I asked them for, I don't want to show their correspondence, is to sum up for the purposes of me, Mr. Speaker, putting into public domain what their advice to me was over these issues. That's all. To show the Bahamian people what guided me in the decisions we made. No more, no less.
Janae Noel Ferguson, ZNES Network News.
So, ladies and gentlemen, that was a story of when the fight was going on and when they were trying to figure out who was going to get Bahamar and what was going to happen with it. And that was Perry Christie arguing and fighting for the Chinese. But he wasn't the only one. Let me tell you the whole story. We had a hotel. There's a big history out there. The Cable Beach Hotel was supposed to be the savior of this country. It was the Atlantis of its day. They closed down the Hobby Horse racetrack because they were going to open eventually a casino, and they were going to allow gambling in this casino, and it was going to be a big attraction of the Bahamas. But they felt that Black people, that most of our tourists were going to come from the American South. And remember the day and time that this was in. This was in the 70s, in the late 60s and 70s when these things were being considered. When Martin Luther King got killed, there was still a lot of tension, and there was still a lot of overt racism going on in America. So they started to vilify gambling. When gambling was very legal for Bahamians at the time, they had something called the Bahamar Club, which is a casino where Bahamians could go. But they started to vilify it. They started to vilify anytime they want to do what they want to do. And so they said that men were going to the Hobby Horse racetrack and spending all their money and not taking it home to their children, and which there, of course, would be some cases like that, but that was not the reason they were doing it. The real reason was because they felt that Bahamians would not be accepted with the white people, and that the foreign white people would not want to sit next to Bahamians in the casino. And because of that prejudiced thought and feeling that it would be a good business decision, they changed the law to not allow Bahamians to gamble in the casino. Of course, the law says you can gamble in your house. So they changed the law that you could gamble in your house. A lot of you don't know that. You can actually gamble in your home or in a dorm room at a college, et cetera, et cetera. That's what the law says. But in terms of to be in a casino, no, they blocked it for that. And only a foreigner is allowed to gamble. When they were going to put that in the discrimination part in our Constitution, the British told them that could not stand if anyone challenges it, but it's up to them. But they still did it nonetheless because they know Bahamians aren't going to read one, and they're not going to challenge that too because it's going to be expensive to get it all the way to the Privy Council. And so that's what they did. they opened a hotel. The hotel eventually started to flop. The government had to buy it, and they held it for a while. Of course, ran it very poorly. The Crystal Palace came along, and it was supposed to be the savior of the Bahamas. They had a lot of foreign Indians working there, if you remember, and that came. It was beautiful going at Go Slow Bend and seeing the colors of the sunset on that hotel. It was phenomenal. But eventually, of course, that also had some issues. Eventually, I'm skipping over many years now, Sarkis Ismailin came into the play. And so he's the son of Mr. Ismailin, who made his money in peanuts, selling peanuts. Sarkis Ismailin didn't have the money of his father, but he, of course, was in the Bahamas and he wanted to do some investment. And so he managed to borrow $250 million, we are told, from Scotiabank to be able to purchase the hotel, the Cable Beach Hotel, etc. And eventually, that was the first phase to this development that he had in mind. And so he didn't have any more money to do anything else. His dream was stalling. He couldn't get the money to do what he wanted. And he told the hotel, listen, I'm not paying you. You are going to have to take shares because I'm not paying. Which, if any of you try that, you would have a different kind of scenario, of course. Imagine you go get a loan from the bank and then say, I'm not paying you. Well, that's how it works in the Bahamas. And so eventually, Hubert Ingram came into power. And Hubert Ingram, this is around 2007, between 2007 and 2012, Ingram came back to power. Ingram found funding for his project. Hubert Ingram, our prime minister, instead of finding funding for the dreams of Bahamians, went and found funding for the dreams of a foreigner. And he went to China, all the way to China, and asked them to give $3 billion or so to build a Bahama for this foreign young man who has a dream. This always bothers me. I have nothing against Sarkis because anyone who has a dream anyway, I've done investments in other people's countries. But my thing is, I don't expect those countries to do for me what they wouldn't do for their own citizens. And it's a mindset thing here that I want to, that needs to be addressed. And so our prime minister went above and beyond, spent our money to go and build the dreams of a foreigner. I want you to think about that. And that's what he did. He found $3 billion for this foreign young man with a dream. All right? Someone says 500 million. $3 billion for this young man. All right? And so they went, they got him straight. Someone says you can't blame Sarkis for that. I agree. But I blame our leaders who don't want to empower Bahamians. And this should have shown you. So Perry Christie and those started it up. Of course, his partner in crime, Ingram, they'll always make it seem like they're fighting, but they're not really fighting. They're actually working together behind the scenes. Perry Christie promoted it. Ingram got the money. And then Perry Christie came back. And one of the things that happens whenever you foreigner and you fund the PLP, they're going to screw you. That's normally what happens, normally. And so there's many examples of that. And so what began to happen was that the PLP seemed to be working against Sarkis Ismailin. And before I get there, Sarkis Ismailin turned out to be a boss that the Bahamian people loved. It seemed like he was more for the workers, more willing to help them. They were even willing to protest on his behalf. Imagine Bahamians willing to protest for their boss. And so it seemed to a lot of them, after speaking to them, that he was looking out for Bahamians more than Atlantis or any other hotels or resort, etc., in this country. And so he seemed to be a good person to work for. I know persons who worked for him at his estate in life with Key Bahamians, and they said, oh, this man, he did a pretty good job. He treats you well. And so a lot of Bahamians were saddened when they started to see what was happening with the project. The project seemed to be stalled. A lot started to happen, and it seemed like in the end, according to this document, the Chinese seems to have paid off. Someone says, yes, he was that's what I'm hearing from everybody. All right. Chinese seems to have done some underhanded work. According to the documents, $2 million was for unspecified reasons, undisclosed reasons, were directed towards the son of a prominent politician who was dealing with all of this. All right. Now, what we know is that there were a lot of rumors and allegations that Perry Gladstone Christie got a contract at Bahamar, and we need an investigation into this to see the veracity of the claims. And he put it in his son's name, and it was in the name, they say, of his son who has autism, which he has severe autism, and there's no way that he could have signed any documents or done any of this stuff or run a company. And it was a rumor that was going around, and a lot of people were disgusted at it. But of course, they're in power, so no one is going to question them. And when they come out of power, the FNM is in power, so the FNM is not going to question them. And that leads us to something else, but I'll get there. And so the court documents mention this money. And so we need to know if that, what they're talking about, is the situation between Perry Christie and his son. A lot of other skullduggery went down during this whole time. There was Alison Maynard, who had an interest in this whole thing, and she was busy getting shops to own shops in this, while she was the person negotiating on the government's behalf, and on, I think at one point she was representing Bahamar, etc. And so we see all of the corruption that goes on, this slimy, disgusting PLP whenever they're in power. We saw for Jerome Fitzgerald, he was exposed because he was trying to get contracts. He was a government minister getting contracts, begging for contracts from these persons in the same way. And so they are doing their money grab with Bahamar and screwing him at the same time, you know, and that eventually caused it to crumble. So from all accounts, and I can't swear for anybody, from all accounts, Sarkis Ismailin appeared to be a good boss and someone who was trying to do things in good faith. That relationship could have never lasted because the PLP doesn't do things in good faith, all right? Not with any investors. If you are too clean or too good, etc., they're going to get rid of you, all right? So you don't have to worry about that. And so the Chinese eventually took it over, and you heard what I read, and they took over the project, and eventually they opened the project, which is a phenomenal project. A lot of people now favor Bahamar over Atlantis, and Sarkis lost. He's been in a lawsuit ever since, up to this day, all right? And so that brings us to the real issue. It is the entrenched corruption of the Progressive Liberal Party. But before I get more in depth into that, I want to talk about the Free National Movement, because the Free National Movement, a statement. I'm not going to read their statement because I think it's insulting. Anything that they would put out, what they have done in this country and what they've done to us. But Michael Pintard has put out a statement, shamefully. It's like they feel that Bahamians just have amnesia and nothing matters, and that we're just going to vote for them, that the same back and forth is going to continue. And they may be right, and if they are right, then we deserve the country that we have. Where after 50 years, we have nothing. And the foreigners are getting everything. We have nothing. We don't have ambulances in Nassau. We don't have ambulances in the Family Island. But we always get plenty of police cars, but no fire trucks. We can't get anything to work properly in this country. No banking on the islands. Nothing is working right. So maybe this is what we want. And if it is, then you vote for that. But Michael Pintard put out a statement where he's basically talking about the $2 million that was given to a son of a prominent politician. And he's talking about the corruption and saying it needs to be an investigation. Here's my problem with that, Michael Pintard. This is for you. Someone tag Michael Pintard. He may already be watching, but someone tag Michael Pintard. Michael Pintard, you put out a statement about Bahamar. Let me make this clear to you. The Bahamian people does not want to hear from you or anyone in the Free National Movement, especially anyone who was in the cabinet of the Free National Movement, any of their trolls or contract seekers who ruined this country during the 4 years that you guys were in power. We do not want to or intend to hear from any of you. Why do I say that? Michael Pintard, how is it that you can call for an investigation now when you were part of the cabinet? Why didn't you call for an investigation when you were in government? After that Bahamar debacle, you all spent 4 years in government. At no time did the government order a commission of inquiry or any kind of investigation, nor did you, Michael Pintard, or you, Dwayne Sands, or any of the persons, members of parliament in the FNM, call for an investigation when you were actually the government who could subpoena anything. You could have called a select committee and investigated this in the House without a commission of inquiry, where it wouldn't have cost us anything because we're already paying you. And you could have subpoenaed everyone involved, including any MP, former Prime Minister. You could have subpoenaed the Governor General when you were in office. But you did nothing but sit down and cover for the PLP administration. That's what you did. You did nothing. So we don't want to hear about any investigations now because you think Bahamians are still foolish like they were before. Pintard, take several seats because we do not forget what you have done to the Bahamian people over those 4 years. And I could have a line of shows every day for a year talking about what you all did to the Bahamian people. And so we don't want you to think that the Bahamian people are stupid. And don't insult us with these kinds of things. When you put out this kind of documentation to the Bahamian people, Michael Pintard, let me tell you what you are supposed to do, because you don't seem to have common sense or ability to understand what needs to happen in these instances. Michael Pintard, whenever you put out something like that, the first thing you should do is ask the Bahamian people's forgiveness for what you have done, for the corruption that you were a part of. Until you do that, we are not impressed and we are not interested. You can get lost. I'm going to print out your document and tear it up. And that's what I'm going to do with any press statement you put out. And when you are talking about investments and investors and shady deals, you need to first ask for forgiveness for the shady deals of your party. Do you think that we forgot Oban, which was in Freeport, where you are from, where our crown land was being stolen from us, the Bahamian people, to give to a company of corrupt criminals? Where you lied to Bahamian people about when the deal was signed, and the deal was actually signed before the fake signing, alleged fake signing, which we believe you all made up after you got in trouble, where this man signed for someone else, this man who was charged with fraud, criminal fraud. Pintard, you all had 5 MPs in Grand Bahama. This is what you all did to Grand Bahama. You have no right to tell us about the PLP. This is what you all did to Grand Bahama. 5 MPs, including the Deputy Prime Minister, the Minister of State for Finance, and you. You took our crown land and gave it to these people talking about an oil deal when it was really about land. You gave them our land to do a development. It was a land grab, but God didn't let it happen. Pintard, you and the F&M is a criminal organization. The PLP does theirs without covering up, and they do theirs in a slack way because they just feel like no one can touch them. But you all do it, and you try to hide behind papers. Pintard, stay out of this. Now, we know that Bahamar put some of their team to be members of parliament and funded the F&M in order to get back at the PLP. Marvin Dames is one of them. He used to actually work there. South Beach, what's his name? Jeff Lloyd was also one of the Bahamar crew, and also Adrian Gibson, who is now under arrest. But Adrian Gibson was also a part of the Fred Smith crew. All right. Who else was there? Okay. Adrian Gibson, Romy Ferreira, that's the Fred Smith crew. And then there's a Bahamar crew that came in there, and that's how Minis got his funding. All right. And this is what you all did. So Pintard, don't talk. Just sit down and shut up. And we mean that. Sit down and shut up. Ladies and gentlemen, remember, anytime Pintard opens his mouth, we want you to remind him that as a member of parliament, he can have a select committee. And in fact, he can call for a PAC committee right now on this. He doesn't have to call for an investigation. He can do the investigation. He can do it. And there's a way he can do it. He actually is standing to sue to get information from the government if they failed to provide it. You see, the reason they don't want me in the House of Assembly is because I know the real power of a member of parliament. And that's what they're afraid of. That's why they spend all that money in West Grand Bahama and Bimini, $5.4 million in a couple of days. Because they know, I know the power of every single member of parliament, not just the government, not just the opposition. Every member of parliament has a certain power. And they only want puppets in there to stop what's going on. There's something I skipped in the middle of all of that. In the document, they talk about how money was redirected to buy the Hilton British Colonial Hotel. You'll remember that they started building right away on that British Colonial Hotel. And in fact, they started building before they had a work permit, purportedly. And the project had to be stopped. The Prime Minister stopped the project because who was dealing with the Chinese on that? Philip Brave Davis, who's the Minister of Works, allowed them to start doing what they were doing before they had their paper straight, remember? So Brave Davis, you were also caught up in this. Of course, him and Perry was having little leadership struggles at the time, so Perry reportedly stopped him, and they had to get their paperwork right. This is the country that we live in, all right? And so I just wanted to remind you of all of this. We are going to start doing our own investigations, our own reveal about exactly what happened with Bahamar. I want you to remember that all of the PLPs had their grimy hands, just like with this FTX thing. Their grimy hands was all over this. These same PLPs, how could we go back to them? We did this to ourselves. And now the country is suffering. I could sit here all day and talk about Hirachi. I could talk about the Weisfish brothers, and we could talk about Anna Nicole Smith saga, and there's so much stuff that we could talk about, but this is the culture. And so before I open the lines, I want to talk to you about how politics works in the Bahamas. This is how it works. There's a PLP and the F&M, and then there's the COI. But before the COI existed, there would always be some fringe party that starts to poke their head up. And what they would do is the PLP and the F&M would buy out those in the fringe party to get them out of the picture, because these two were supposed to rule forever. Let me tell you the history of that. And I want you to pay close attention and remember everything I'm saying to you. When the Progressive Liberal Party won, no one expected them to win. In 1967, no one expected the PLP to win. They were broke, unknowns. They had inexperience. They were the new people. You can't give the country to new, inexperienced people. Was the talks. They never know business. They never accomplished nothing. They never did nothing. They broke. They ain't got no money. All of this stuff was being said. Somehow they still won in the end. They still won the election, even though they got the minority of the votes. They got very few votes. But they still won. When I say that, I mean 18,000 versus 19,000 plus 2,000 and 3,000 for the third parties and independents. So the vast majority of people voted against the PLP. They still won. When they won on the first day in cabinet, the information came to Pinlin and the cabinet that the country is broke. We're repeating that. The country is broke. They have no money. And that's because what the UPP did was they did all the country's business in their names to their parties. So they only paid themselves $1 so that they could say, oh, we don't even get paid. We are so noble. We do this out of love for country. But of course, instead of directing business to the Treasury, they were directing the businesses to themselves. All right. And so that's why no money was in the Treasury, but they had all the money. And so everything was run through them, and then they would feed what's needed to the Treasury to be able to operate. And even with that, the country operated better than it operated under the Progressive Liberal Party and the Free F&M afterwards. But that's another story. So when Pinlin got in there, he realized it was broke. And so what he did was he had to go and borrow money to pay the staff. He went to Royal Bank and on Bay Street. He walked there and he asked to speak to the general manager. He didn't know what to do and who to talk to. He was a rookie. He went to speak to the general manager and he said, listen, we need to borrow money to pay our staff. And the general manager said, I would love to. I would love to help you. But the problem is, that's above my pay grade. You have to speak to the chairman. The chairman was Mr. Roland Simonet. Mr. Roland Simonet. Hold on, let me answer this. This is the love of my life. Baby daddy is on a live, so you gotta call me back. Oh, okay. I love you. And so he met with Sir Roland Simonet. So Roland Simonet, he was expecting him. See, I knew he was waiting. And he then told him, I'm going to have to give you the money because if the country fails, our businesses are going to fail. And so we're going to give you the money. But now you know who's in charge of this country. Pinlin is a lesson today, y'all. Listen carefully. Pinlin realized that they controlled everything. And so that good speech he gave about the natural resources and the aragonite and the white gold and all the stuff that we had and how it's going to change our lives, Roland Simonet told him, don't touch it. Only us could deal with the natural resources. Don't ever talk about that again. And moving forward, to this day, they started denying that we have natural resources. But Pinlin realized that these guys had all the economic power, so he needed political power. And so what he did was, based on my research and persons I've talked to from the time, he made a deal with Cecil Wallace Whitfield to make it seem like they were fighting so that he would go to the other side. And several of them left, and went over to the other side. The UBP saw them and said, hey, come along with us, and ended up working together. And so what happened was there was a PLP on this side and what eventually became the FNM on the other side. But it was led by persons who were working with Pinlin to make sure that he always had political power. I talked to one bishop the other day who told me that he saw a big fight in the House of Assembly between Cecil Wallace Whitfield and Pinlin. And then when he went to visit Cecil Wallace Whitfield at his house that night, Pinlin was there at his house, and they were having a jolly old time. And he couldn't believe it. And from then, he understood what was going on. And so eventually, and that's why the FNM could keep going, even though they were losing. That was the plan, for them to lose. Everyone in the FNM wasn't a part of this plan. It was just the leadership that understood this. And so eventually, when they realized that it was coming down to the last wire and that the PLP almost lost the 87 election, they had to cheat. They called in for the persons they had waiting to be the next generation to continue the power of the PLP and FNM, to keep the economic power with the UBP persons, and to keep the political power with Pinlin. And so around 1984, somewhere around there, I think that's where it was, 1984, 1985, don't hold me to it, Ingram and Christie were kicked out of the party. And that's something that you always do to give power to those persons, make them seem independent and strong. They won outside of the party. They made sure they won. And they had that air of being independent and strong. They brought Perry back to the PLP, and eventually Ingram was sent to lead the FNM. Okay, and so now you had Pinlin's two proteges to be in place. Pinlin realized that he couldn't hold on for much longer, and so let's use some chess moves to get my people in place. And so he put Ingram over to the FNM, and Cecil Wallace Whitfield seems to be the person who blessed that. And so a lot of people wondered, why would you take this man from nobody, he was nothing special, from the PLP, when we had all of these other people, Tennyson Wells, Orville Turnquist, all these other people here with so much experience at the Puch, all of these people who've been here for such a long time, and you bring Ingram here in the FNM, and that's how it happened. But it was because there was a plan going on behind the scenes. I'm teaching you something tonight about where our country has come from and where it's going, and what they've been doing all this time. And so Ingram led the FNM to a victory. But the PLP, Pinlin, was actually still in power. And so he went to a victory. He had another victory. And in 1992, it was time to pass it on. So he passed it on to Perry Christie. And notice what every time before they passed it on, they would win the election, and then by the end of that term, they would start acting so crazy that you want them to be gone. You want them to be gone. You would be like, oh my God, Ingram he don't listen to nobody, he this, he that, all these complaints. He would start acting crazy the way you think, like, this can't be the same man who we believed in and respected. And well, who's this man? And then you would say, oh, we got to vote you out. And we can't fool no third party right now because Ingram just got to go. And Perry would say, hey, I'm the opposite. They use differentiation. That's a plan in PR, in political science. Differentiate so that you want to swing from here all the way over here. And so Perry would say, I'll listen to you. I'll consult. I'm good. I love Jesus. And so you would say, okay, let's get rid of Ingram. And because, he brought Sunday shopping. He ain't love Jesus. Let's go with Perry and he said over here, Mother Pratt, them. They good. They love Jesus. Let's go over here. And then he went to Perry. And then by the end of Perry's term, he said, oh, he's so weakened and he's this and that. And he had all kind of stuff about him. And then you say, we got to go. And Ingram would be like, okay, it's a matter of trust. Remember, I'm strong. You need strong leadership at this time. and then you would differentiation, and then they would swing back hard. And any third parties in there say, no, they see you all time yet. We just got to make sure Perry them gone, Perry them corrupt, they crooked. We just got to get rid of them. And then they swing hard the next way. And then they go back to Ingram, and then Ingram started, I'm a one-man band. I don't even need a deputy. I this and I'm that, and the next thing. And then you get rid of him. And then the next thing, you're back to Perry. And then Perry is telling you, he's sticking his middle finger up at you and saying, he's saying that not even God can stop him and insulting God, and it's the church, and church ain't got no hell to put me in. I want with y'all. But at the end of their term, they'll always make it so you swing PLP, swing F&M, swing PLP, swing F&M. And that's what happens. And we've been getting swing all this time. And in between there, anyone who starts to rise up and talk about the natural resources, etc., they get some payoff or some payout or some job, some position. Anyone who comes up with these third parties, they'll start to grab them. Okay, like what Ingram and Christie did, grab some from over here, you take some of them, and I'll take some of them, and we will put them against each other. Whoa, ha, 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 ha. And that's the plan. And so it's a swing back and forth, back and forth. And then it was time for their third business partner, Ingram, Christie, Davis, and Co. It was time for Davis to get his shot. And so they put him there. And that's how the political landscape has been. In between all of this, there's so much to teach you guys. In between all of this, the person sent to run in the F&M to run against the leader of the PLP to make sure they got a soft and easy win was always Pintard. Pintard was sent to run against, Pintard has lost many times, right? He was sent to run against Christie. He was given money to run against him, but told, don't run hard against Christie. I've spoken to Pintard's campaign generals on this. And he was told, don't run hard against him, all right? Then he was sent to run against Brave a couple of times and told, don't run hard against him, because they wanted Brave to win. So they would always send Pintard as the puppet. And now you saw even Ingram run against Minnis because it was time to get their law partner in. And Pintard is now the leader of the opposition to run against Brave. But don't run too hard against Brave, is the instructions. But in any event, even if the people swing, they'll try to get it to swing towards the F&M, and both of them are still in power. The F&M and PLP are one. They are one. Don't fall for it. And so now to the political game. How does the political game work? So those persons in power, the country makes $3 billion a year. And so that $3 billion actually goes to paying different things in our economy. And what they've realized is that they can make that $3 billion go to them. Like African leaders would get charged with stealing, and they would just take the money and put it in their accounts and just take the money. But our leaders realize that, no, we can just take contracts directed to our cronies, all right? And our cronies would put up the contract, and then we get a piece of it. And that's how we steal from the treasury. So, for example, they'll say, okay, we're going to pave a road. That road is going to cost $1 million. Okay, we're going to say that road costs $2 or $3 million. That 2 or 3 go to us, that 1 go to you. And so you'll probably make 100,000 profit from that. That's your money. But this 2 or 3, that money is for us. All right. And that's what they have been doing. And so they only work with people that they know that they can get these bribes from. They could get the kickbacks from. That's how they give out the contracts. And so as long as they know that they can get that kickback from you, that's how the contracts are distributed. And that's how they steal the $3 billion every year, every cent of it, except for what goes to things like travel, like if they pay American Airlines or something. Of course, that's their budget. That wouldn't go to them. But anything that goes to contracts within the Bahamas, that is funneled towards them. All right. And so that's how they steal. Now, those persons who are going to get the contracts, what they do is it's their job to help fund whatever constituency they're in, to help fund that constituency, one. And two, it's their job to go out there to the rest of you and say, hey, vote F&M. Their job to come to you and say, guys, and make sure that you get this. Man, I can work out something for you too. You want contract, I'll get something for you too. But you got to give, you can't say it, but you got to give piece of that to make sure you get your pay on time. Because what they do is they hold on your pay until you pay them what you offer them up front, and then they'll release it to you. And so this is what they do. So they have persons that are paid off to campaign to you. And they use the money that they've stolen from all of us to be $1 billion to go on the ground. And that's the money they got from that padding the contracts. And that's why you see things like the contract for the airport in Cat Island. $80 million for a 10,000 square foot building. That is beyond evil. Think about that. $18 million. That's why you see the road work in Ilu gone from 100 million to 160 million. You gotta pad that. And they padded it even. The 100 million was already padded. So the road work is probably going to cost half of that, but they padded it even more. They were talking about the prison, and they put the price of that up. This is what they do. All right? This is how it works. And all of you who were intimate parts of the PLP or F&M know that what I'm saying is the truth. But this is why our country doesn't work. This is why everything else is failing. At the same time, you're getting these little contracts, but that money goes away quickly. At the end of the day, when your party's not in power, you're broke, you're starving. Because you had to give so much of what was supposed to be your contract to the politicians. We want to end this. We want you to get contracts on your merit. We want to do things that's going to build up this country. We want to make sure they have ambulances in all the family islands. We want to make sure that they have fire trucks and everything they need on the family islands. We want to make sure that Bahamas Air is efficient and they have the proper planes, not someone gets a contract to get the plane and they get paid off. We want to make sure that we go to solar, not buying generators. Come on, man. Bahamas, please listen to me. It hurts me when I go to the family island. It feels like I just walked. I went in an airplane, but it feels like I went to a time machine. I went 50 years back in time when I land. Nothing works. The people are suffering. The economies are dead. Even on Exuma, where Chester is selling off all of our land and giving away our country, the people aren't feeling it. The people are suffering and hurting. The same corruption is happening there, right? Chester's face. I am so sorry. I was running out of power and didn't realize it. I'm so sorry for the little intermission. Oh God, I forgot to plug in my devices and you almost lost me a minute there. All right. So let me make sure that you can hear me properly. I'm so sorry about that. Okay, let me just do a little sound check. Okay, so it sounds to me like we're still up. Sounds to me like we're still up. Okay, yeah, we did have a little blackout. Okay, I think we're still back up. Testing 1, 2, 3. Yes, we are still up. Thank you so much. All right. I thought we were gone for a second there. All right. So what we want is a country that runs. I'm tired of seeing a country where when your party's in power, you eat. When your party's out of power, you starve. When the politicians on the top are eating at all times and they're working together and they're running this like a mafia family, all of them get a piece of everything. They get a piece of the pie. I'm just glad to just let this out today. All of them are getting a piece of the pie. They do things together and then they designate certain things that certain people can touch. The F&M, because of the UBP Connect, they deal with the natural resources, etc. for the most part. All right. The PLP deals with other stuff. All right, they deal with the housing and this other stuff. That's their focus. All right, and so when the PLP tried to steal BTC and sell it to themselves, a company called Blue Water, they didn't include the F&M in their deal. Remember, this is a mafia agreement. And so the Ingram stopped the deal. Of course, on instructions by the people who really fund everything, because you can't do it without both people being in. And so this BPL deal is both sides. So Frankie Wilson represents the interests of the PLP. And so that funnels back to the PLP, everything he does. And Orville Turnquest, released Tommy Turnquest, etc., represents the interests of the F&M. So they have both their men is there to make sure that whatever deal happens, both the F&M and PLP benefits. That's why you heard the Grand Bahama Port Authority say, we pay off both parties. And all of them. You'll hear, I sat with Flowers one day, the number man, and he said he gives money to both parties. He said they hit him so hard. This was before it was legalized. And he said he has to pay to both of them. All right. And that's because both of them are working together. And it's like a mafia arrangement where both have to get a piece of the pie. Now, we get nothing. Put the phone lines now so we can continue this conversation. So you think about all of this. You think, do you understand the things that I've been saying to you? Does it make sense now? The things that you've been seeing over the years? Is it now starting to make sense? Is it now adding up? The PLP they've been doing, the third parties and how they would sell out, how they would just come forward and then just pull back and disappear. Does it now make sense to you? 803-5995 is the number. Let's put it on the screen. 803-5995. And this is how the corruption continues in this country. The reason they don't want to empower Bahamians, the only reason, is because money determines money elections. And so if they empower Bahamians, then Bahamians are, one, not going to need them, and two, they're going to be able to come together and determine who's going to win. But if they can determine who have the money, and only those persons determine the election, and that happens to be their people, then they can stay in power. If they can keep you poor and suffering and hurting, when they come to solve your problem of suffering and hurting, you're going to see them as saviors, which is what you've done so much. Oh, they helped my child get in school, right? And the child said, boy, they helped me get in school. I gotta be a PLP. I gotta be F&M. Nothing I can do. Just put us. This is the country we're living in. And so that's why the first thing they're going to say is, oh, this party don't have no money, that party don't have no money. They're stealing the money like they have.
Good evening, Mr. President.
Good evening, caller. You're live.
Yes, good night, Mr. President. Good night to you and the audience.
Yes. Go ahead.
Wow, man, this is truly an eye-opener. You know, I just recognize the connection between Brent Simonet and his daddy, who was the one that you said originally funded Celine Open, the PLP party. So that legacy has passed on from his daddy down to him.
Yes.
Now here he is the one now that is the financier behind Pintan and still controlling the Aragonite.
Yes.
Still controlling the banking institute, because they have now many different branches of Commonwealth banks throughout the Bahamas.
Yes.
And he is still at the forefront of the financial institution.
That is correct.
Man, that's an eye-opener.
Yes.
That's truly an eye-opener.
Think about this. That crane that is digging the Aragonite in Grand Bahama, that crane is owned by Brent Simonet family.
Yes.
Don't you think the Port Authority or Bahama Rock could afford to buy their own crane? But no, they got to
Exactly.
give the Simonet and their family, the UBP and their interest, a piece of that pie. You see?
Wow. Wow. I did not trace it to go back so far,
Yes.
where his daddy was the one who funded Finland. And now here it is. They are still in the political arena and still being the heavy punchers and carrying on
He made a still money under the PLP than even under the FNM.
Wow.
Milo Butler also made a deal. He was the first Minister of Health, and he made a deal with the UBP at the time, and that was that his family, because he helped them when they got out, when they were out of power, he was the first Minister of Health. He started giving contracts to the UBP. He would give them contracts to supply, Delbinas and all those people, to supply the hospitals and the clinics, etc., whatever was going on. And he was in a position to help them out. That's why to this day, Milo Butler's children are always included in any UBP type business. So any business you see the UBP, like Commonwealth Bank, Cable Bahamas, any business you see them in, you're going to see the Butler family as a part of that, working together with UBP interests moving forward.
So these politicians has always had a mind of creating generational wealth, but it was only to create generational wealth for themselves and their children.
Yes.
Because here it is now. So Roland Simonet has established this generational wealth, and now his son is now carrying on and is also building generational wealth for his children and their children to come.
Yes.
But forget about the Bahamian public. Forget about the citizens of the. Wow. Wow.
That is correct.
That has truly been indeed enough for me tonight. Thank you, a bit of information. Blessings and the Lord bless your endeavor, Mr. President. See you all the way.
Thank you. God bless you. And so this is where we are with the demons who've been running this country like a mafia. All right, and like I said, they are working together. BPL is bankrupt. Mosaic is bankrupt. It doesn't have to be, but they have the same people providing the fuel, the same people providing the parts for the engines, etc. The same people sucking out of Bahamas Air. And so it can't be profitable because they're sucking out of it. BPL, the same thing, they're sucking out of it. NIB, they're sucking out of it. These vampires have been destroying us for all these years. Sucking away from them. I've shown you over and over what they have been doing with NIB. They would take NIB, the line is open, 35995. They would take NIB's money, invest it in Focal, give Focal the money to buy the fuel. So they're making free money from what is ours. And that's why I tell you, stop praising these people up when they do anything. They're not doing anything for you. Everything they do, they use our money to do it. Someone says it's Pike. You're going to see that Pike is a victim in all of this. You can see. Or they can see soon. Good evening, you're live. Good evening, you're live.
Yes, good night, President.
How you doing?
I'm doing fine.
Yeah.
President, I would like to know, once that day when we win the election, I would like to know what exactly are your plans going to be for all of this corruption? Are we going to shut down the tree to make sure these persons who've been stealing our generational wealth for all this time are going to be held responsible? Because you know some of them can run. But I want to know if we can catch every last single one of them.
Remember, I showed you files. I have files on every single institution. I have files on NIB. I have files on water and sewage, BBC, you name it. I have files. I showed a suitcase of files I have on BBC the other day, but I have files. I want you to know that we are ready from day one. Ready from day one to deal with these people. Wherever the monies have been stolen from Bahamian people, we're going to go get it. We're going to go get it. There are deals that we have been signing on to, tax trade agreements, information sharing agreements, and other information sharing agreements where we allow the foreign countries to get information from us. But it's a bilateral agreement, all right? And so that means that we can find, and we've already started doing the research. I've already shown documentation, even in some of my documentaries, where we've identified companies that, like Bahamar Hot Mix, they have a company in England, and we see their Swiss accounts and their England accounts, and we have Brent and his family and their companies, and they have a company, Cameron and them, they have a company called Atlantis that's hidden off in England somewhere. All right, and so we have already started tracking all of this. We want you to know that we've been prepared. We have been preparing to restore to the Bahamian people what belongs to them. And so they can't run, the money can't run. Wherever it goes, we're going to know, all right, legally. And wherever they run, we're going to go get it. I just want you to know that. And so we are going to bring justice to the Bahamian people. So this is why they're afraid of me getting in the House of Assembly, and for other reasons, but they can't stop what is coming. So moving forward, they're going to try to discredit me. They're going to try everything in this world to stop me, and if that don't work, they can try to kill me. But none of it is going to work, because when it's time for change, change is going to come. But I just want you to know that we're going to deal with them. We're going to make corruption a capital offense, like murder. It's going to be a capital offense, and we're going to deal with them. And everybody knows the courage to do this. And the thing is, the COI is not connected to the PLP or FNM. Whenever they're out of power, they talk, but the other one just make it look good. And then when they get in, they do nothing. Like you see what Pinta them do now. They just beating up their gum when they actually have the power to do some things right now, but they're not going to do it. But we know that we're not tied to them and their corruption. And we're not going to bring anyone to run for us who are tied to them and their corruption. And so when we get in, we have no reason to hold back.
Excellent, excellent. And my last and final statement is, Mr. Brave Davis, if you're hearing it, or any of your hearing it, ring the bell, please. Please, quickly ring the bell.
Thanks for your call, man.
Take care.
803-5995. You can WhatsApp call or regular call. 803-5995 is the numbers. And so we are going to make sure that we deal with them. I can assure you that myself, Maria Daxon, Donna Major, and you're going to see others, but I'm assuring you that you're going to have people with courage who are ready to take this country back from the mafia. We are going to expel the pirates and restore good governance to this country. Good commerce will be restored. We are on a campaign, on a crusade to remove these pirates who every election period are embarrassing us, embarrassing the Bahamian people. Every time, PLP, FNM, two of them embarrassing us. Minister said, I'm going to fight corruption, happens. Then we see Minister and them doing the COVID visa, and the COVID visa was funneled to companies in which their people had interests. And then we saw they were going to sell all of our heritage sites to themselves. They are both corrupt. And it's time for change. They are only looking out for one thing. Their future generations. Frankie, he held up that sign. Brother Lee was helping him hold it up. He held up that sign to let you know he doing this for his grandchildren. And they showing you that. So if we want a country that continues to fail, just go to our family islands and look around, for Christ's sake. Just look around. Just look around. Alive donated 2 ambulances to Long Island. It is sitting there rotting. Rotting. Jesus. Before they give you a little break, it's like they want to make you suffer. It's like they feel like we are so stupid for voting for them that they have to make us suffer. That's what we're getting from them. That's the only thing we can understand by what's going on. Like they feel like, man, these people are so stupid. We just got to make them suffer. There's no way we could allow them to do this dumb thing to the country in putting them in power and not be punished. It's like they feel that we must be punished for the wrong that we do by putting them in power. That's the only thing that I can think of. Nothing else is really adding up. I saw a picture today. Oh Lord, I wish I could find that quickly. I saw a picture today of a jitney bus. I don't know if any of y'all saw that. In a hole. This hole is so deep on Frederick Street, on Bay Street in the bus terminal. Good afternoon, you're live.
Hey, name is Ben. How you doing?
I am awesome.
Awesome. You know, if the recent court ruling doesn't show the Bahamian people what you've been preaching from Bahamian evolution there, I don't know what to say. Right? You guys been fighting for the natural resources from time immemorial. And you've been telling these people about the worth. You've been exposing the government. You also revealed that Ray Davis told you that he was not going, he's not going to give the Bahamian people no royal persons in. And right after, and then he put himself as over the fire. For example, he said that the Minister of Finance was the Prime Minister. That is the same person. And then he put a guy on everybody and speak about what's going on in the world. I think it's like 5 years and $1,000 fine. Now, recently, I think it was last week before last, you now have the chairman of the PFP President say, oh, Mr. Grass, yes, Grass, potential of $140 billion a year. Really?
Wow.
So it's clear it's no longer a hope that it's not there. It is real. And everybody in their right mind should be voting for this. They should be voting to get their royalty. They should be voting for New Bahamas. It is time for us to move forward. And the situation with the Bahamas, I mean, this load of lid, this people have to be open. After the court ruling found out that possible politicians were involved, and that this guy's place has been sabotaged, which these allegations was around from that time. Now that the court ruling be amplified with respect to all this time. So hopefully he gets justice. Hopefully he gets peace from the situation with Bahamar and that deal. But it's a witness for it. Thank you.
All right. Thanks for your call, man. I appreciate it. 8035995, 8035995. I'm about to show you guys something that may shock some of you. The rest of you may expect it. But this is the Bahamas, man. This right here is the Bahamas, the one and only Bahamas. There's nothing like it. The whole place is falling apart. Nothing is working. Politicians only do what they can benefit from, and while the rest of us constantly live in a state of pure suffering, right? Let me tell you something. Uh, yeah, this right here. I want you to look at this. Let me get this call and then I'll continue to tell you what you're seeing. Good afternoon, you're live.
Yes, good evening, Mr. Payne.
Good evening.
This may be off the topic, but I had a question for you.
Yes, go ahead.
What would be the hierarchy of each island state? Like, for example, would we have governors or mayors and subsequently below this, what would the titles be?
Okay, great question. You want to stay on the line or you can hang up?
I'll hang up. So,
okay, and if you want to ask another question, you can just call back. So each island would actually have a governor, just like island states. So each island will have a governor, and the islands be divided up in cities. Some may only need 2 cities. Some may need more because of the economy. For example, Harbour Island alone is $30 million. So you're going to break it up based on the economy and some other factors. There are geological and there are socioeconomic factors. And so it's going to be broken up into cities, and the mayors will have responsibility for the upkeep of those cities. So they're going to have responsibility to work with Ministry of Land, to work with whatever they need to work with to make sure that they are able to get done what they need to get done. And then the mayor has a role for each of the cities, but the governor and his team has a role to manage the budget, upkeep of everything. And so the governor will then be able to allocate for those cities what is needed for them. Because some cities, like where we just came from, Long Island, the south is less developed than the north, so the north might need and might contribute more and might need more in terms of a budget, or they may determine, and this is their job to determine this, they may determine that we want to build up the south, so let's put more resources there. And so one of the things, Long Island has they send about 50-something million dollars every year to Nassau, and they get back hundreds of thousands. Nothing they get back. And so with their, I'll just put it to 50 million. With their 50 million that they make, they could decide, okay, we're going to send, let's say, 10 million to Nassau. I'm just calling numbers. I'm going to send a little to Nassau, to the headquarters for the federal government or the central government. And so we're left with 40. We want to save some of this 40. So we want to save another 10,000, for example. And so we have $30,000 budget to work with to deal with our expenses. And so we're going to take this, did I say $30 million? We're going to take this $30 million and then we're going to allocate this. And so this amount of million goes over here, this amount of million goes over here to this city, and this amount of million goes over to this city. Now, this city needs a bridge and a dock. So they need more money than this city that already has a bridge and a dock. But this city needs an ambulance, or they need some ambulance. So we're going to make sure they have their ambulance. And so I'm just giving you examples. So these people are going to be able to determine based on their need what happens. And their city council is the real boss. So remember, the government are the managers. All right. The city council is like the shareholders of the city. All right. And so the shareholders determines what happens with that budget. And so they then decide what they want to do, or the mayor and his team presents to them these plans that we have at a city council meeting, yearly city council meeting. These are the plans that we have for the area. This is based on our conversations with you. This is what is needed for the community, and this is what we want to do. We want to build a bridge here, build a dock here, do this, do that, do that. And then someone may move and say, no, I don't think we need this at this time. We really need a dock because we have a lot of fishermen and they need this and that and that, the next thing. And so that is how the conversation goes. People vote on what they want, and at the end of the day, the mayor gets his instructions from that meeting, and then the mayor goes out and he does what he has to do. Now, if something comes up in between, a developer wants to come in and do something, et cetera, you call a city council meeting. The people got to be involved, and then you bring some things before the people, et cetera, et cetera. And so this is how it works. So the real hierarchy is the council, which is the people of the community, are in charge. They're the voters, all right? The voters. So if you don't vote, I don't think you should be allowed to be a part of that because you don't want to be a part of the process. But they are the voters in that community with a stake in that community. And so they are the hierarchy. The governor is responsible to make sure everything on that island, the whole island state, works properly. And the mayors are assigned the cities based on the island. Now, some islands don't have enough of an economy yet. They will have it by the end of our term, but they won't in the beginning have enough. They won't have enough of an economy in order to deal with all of this. So you're going to put them together. It's similar to the way they do it for elections. So you may take Maguana and Acklins, etc., and you may put all of them in one to make them one state. Although they're different islands, they represent a state because of the population and the needs. And as we grow them by bringing more investment to them, doing different things with them, investing with our natural resources, and they start to grow and people start to move back to them, then we can split them up and they become their own states, etc. So that's how we're going to manage this properly. All right. Someone is making a statement to me about actually have documentation on where we've started with this. I wonder if I could pull that up quickly because I think you would probably like to hear this. Let me see if I could pull that up quickly. Just give me a sec. Because we've already started hashing out all of these things. So I want you to know that we're not rambling on with ideas. These stuff are being thought out, investigated, so that we can actually put them into being once we get in. Let me see if I could just pull up a document on this so you can see that we're serious about this. Let me see if I could find that. If I can find it quickly, because there's so much documents to go through. I'll just pull this up for you and go through this. I think it's worth the conversation out there. Okay. All right, let me pull this up. So I want you to know that thought is being put into all of these things. Let me pull this up for you. I wasn't going to release this like this, but I think it'll be good to start to see we are putting in the work that people really want to see. So let me just share my screen a second. So this is a draft document, not the actual document. I'll show you the draft document. So this is the Island States timeline. So we're not just doing this stuff loosely. We're actually considering when it's going to happen, what the cost of everything in between is. So we are putting all of this stuff in plan. So all of this is the timeline. All right. And so here you see the Coalition of Independence will revolutionize governance in the Bahamas by transforming family lines, autonomy, et cetera, et cetera. All right. So here from day one, establishment of transition teams. Day 1 to 7, transition of transitional and initial planning. So day 1, victory declaration and mandate communication. All right, this is day 1 after election. All right, publicly announce the election victory and the mandate to implement island states and city government. So we're going to announce this right away. reassure citizens of a smooth transition and the benefits of the new governance structure. Day 2 to 3, transformation, formation and transition team. So as you can see, we plan on getting straight to work on this. So that's why I tell you, we have to be able to walk and chew gum at the same time. We got to multitask because we're going to have a lot of things to do at one time. And so we're going to delegate a lot of this stuff to a lot of people. Then we're going to establishment of national transition team, comprising legal experts, economists, and governance specialists. Set up island transition teams for each island, including local leaders and stakeholders. All right. And so we're going to start identifying these people before the election. Day 4 to 7, initial meetings and strategy sessions. Yes. These things are going to start to happen. So, of course, as the Prime Minister, I won't be a part of this, but we'll have people who can deal with all of this. Conduct meetings between the National Transition Team and the Island Transition Teams. Outline the legislative requirements and identify political challenges. Begin drafting the framework for necessary legislation. So we're not playing with this. And in fact, a lot of this is already going to be done before election. Day 8 to 21, stakeholder consultations and legislative drafting. Week 2, day 8 to 14, public consultations, hold town hall meetings on each island together, input of residents, engage with local businesses, community, et cetera, legislation, begin drafting island states and city government, et cetera. Hold the line one sec, I'll be right with you. And so I just want to show you this in summary so you can see that we planned all of this out from what's happening in each week, each day, etc. Even from it gets to the House of Assembly. Oh, that's the 2 lines. Hold the line, caller. You're calling number 2. Just hold the line. And so from the first reading of the House, the committee review, put into committee, the second reading, finalization, enactment legislation, all of this stuff, Senate approval, everything down to where this goes and whether it goes to royal assent, present the approved bill to the Governor General for royal assent, or present it to the president if we have already enacted a president. All right. So this was the draft of the plan and what we were doing, then official publication. And so everything is there. So I want you to know that we are planning this stuff out properly. We're not playing with this. You may not see everything at once. And people may say, okay, what are your plans? But we are putting this stuff together, and we are putting real plans together to transform this country. We're not playing with this. All right. So we're talking about, there's already an effective plan with timelines and with budgets, et cetera, budget assumptions, so that we know where we are going. Good afternoon, caller. Caller number 2. We lost caller number 1. Go ahead, caller number 2.
Yes, good afternoon, Mr. Bain.
How you doing?
Pretty good. I see a new evil happening in this country.
Yes.
I see they're selling a lot of electric vehicles. Okay? How are Bahamians going to be able to pay to have them charged at their home with BPL? That means your light bill will be more than a mortgage payment every month.
Yeah.
How would that work?
Okay, so we want you to understand that when we get into power, that we are going solar. All right. And so we're going to use the carbon credit regime to get free solar electricity, to build solar power plants that can power our entire nation, the whole nation. We are going to use currents and hydro so that we can power our nation. So bridges are going to have hydro connected to them, like Porterski Dock. That alone can power a lot of this island. And a lot of creeks on the family islands, and all of our family islands have creeks with a lot of power in them, a lot of current, and we're going to power them. So you're not going to be getting power from oil anymore. Only if we continue going with the FNM and PLP will you continue with that. And they're gonna start going solar to make you pay for that too. But when we get in, electricity is going to be free. All right, and we're going to encourage electric cars. And so that your movement is now going to be free in your vehicles. So we're going to have electric vehicles, electric police vehicles, We're going to give you, there's going to be no duty and no VAT on your electricity vehicles to bring them in. And so that is going to change the game for us as it relates to carbon. All right. Cliff Davis is traveling all over the world talking with carbon and begging for money with carbon. And then he's having a big celebration with 2 big diesel generators. And instead of buying police cars, he's buying police trucks that use more fuel and more emission. And that's why no one is taking him seriously. But he doesn't care. He's only doing it to make us feel like he is representing and saying something and doing something. But that's what, to answer your question, we are going solar. So all of your electricity needs is going to come from renewable sources, solar and hydro. And so it's going to cause you nothing to fuel your vehicle moving forward. All right?
Thank you very much.
All right. Thank you, too. And also, it's going to cost you nothing to fuel your vehicle. And we're going to transform our entire nation by doing so. And it's also going to encourage manufacturing, because we want to go into manufacturing so that we can process our natural resources, but we need to lower the cost of electricity in order to do so. All right. So that's what has to be done in order for us to do it. We have to reduce the cost of electricity. So we're going to do that so that we can go into processing our natural resources. So I hope you see that everything that we are doing is planned, and it's planned out properly, and we're not playing with this. We are serious with this. And we think that when we launch Vision 2030, of course, during the launch, we're not going to be able to read all of these details, but we're going to put it on the website. No, we're not printing out all of this, and we're not going to kill trees in order to do this. We're going to put all of this on our websites where you can see timelines, budget, all of this stuff. This is going to take a lot of work. We are full-time in all of this, to get this done. I want everyone to know something, because I had a lady who called me and she was very upset that she was trying to reach me and she couldn't get me. She said, you could have at least said, good morning back, because she had someone, a family member, who had an issue that they wanted me to deal with. Again, I don't get this. I do this out of the goodness of my heart to help as many people as I can. But she said, at least I could have said good morning. I told her, I can't say good morning if I don't see your text. I get a lot of texts. I literally get tens of thousands every day. I have 100,000 unseen text messages right now. And I spend a lot of time on the phone talking to people, getting information. As you can see, when I talk, a lot of effort is being put into this. We're not doing this willy-nilly. I want you to understand, my phone kind of shocked me when it gave me a notification and an update on what's going on. It was telling me that I spent less time this past week actually on my phone than as usual, because I I was away dealing with the hurricane, I was on the phone less. And so it notified me that I spent 5% less time. I'm going to actually show you how much time I spend on the phone and working on my phone. I'm just trying to pull this up so you can see this. I want you to see this for those who don't appreciate, because I've actually lost some friends because people say they call me and they can't get me. I could have at least returned a call and that kind of stuff. And so I've had people who have gotten angry with me. I mean, I'm so sorry. But this is the life that I live. And I'm so sorry, but I try to be there for everyone. But you're going to be surprised when you see this. Let me pull this up for you. I want you to see this, and your phone does this. So if you want help with managing your time, I think that you should do this. Actually, do this too. Monitor yourself, because that's what I try to do. And again, I was completely shocked this week when I saw some things. So let me just show you this quickly. Oh God, I'm just gonna show you something quickly. Hold on, let me just pull it up. It's very interesting. I spent a lot of time doing research. I spent a lot of time working to really transform this country. And it's not just me. A lot of us spend a lot of time to get this done. Let me show you something. Let me tell you what you're seeing right now. Let me see. Oh, because I have that overlay up. Watch this right here. My phone actually measures the time that I'm using the phone. This is telling me that I'm using the phone. This was last week, and this was down by, I think, 5%, right? Weekly, 63 hours and 25 minutes. That's my time on the phone. 63 hours. Now, a work week is 40 hours. I'm spending 63 hours and 25 minutes. And that's just on this phone. I have two phones. That's just on this phone. 63 hours and 25 minutes. On WhatsApp, I spend 26 hours and 36 minutes this week. 26 hours, and this is down. 26 hours and 36 minutes. That's just trying to answer all of your texts, sometimes I'll be on some driving and I'm trying to scroll when I'm on the red light and look and see if anything is urgent. Trying to just pull up something if it's my child or something important or whatever. On Facebook, I spend 21 hours and 56 minutes. On YouTube, 5 hours and 3 minutes. And I don't watch foolishness. I only research things that I can learn. That's the amount of hours that we have to put into this. I want you to know that me and this team is putting in some serious work in order to get this done. And again, that ain't playtime. That's serious work time that you're seeing there. So on a daily, this week, my daily average for the week on the phone was 9 hours and 3 minutes. 9 hours and 3 minutes every single day just on the phone. So I want you to understand that if I can't get to you, don't not love me anymore. Just understand that this is a lot of work that we are putting in. A lot of work. I've had people who say, we ain't fooling with y'all anymore. You can just be just like them other MPs, but we are putting in work. We don't have government staff to work for us and answer the phone for us and do that stuff. We are fighting for the Bahamian people. I always tell people I earn these bags under my eyes. So they can make fun of them, but I have to give up sleep in order to make this mission work. And so, again, we are working hard to bring the change this country needs to see. Working hard, all right? So we are putting in the efforts, and everything that I tell you, I can show you a proper plan. There's a plan for us to go crypto. There's a plan for banking. There's a plan for electricity and now transforming the electricity industry. There's a plan for that. And so a written plan. And so I want you to know that when you see me able to recite these things and tell you these things, it's because I live this. And we really want to see a new Bahamas. And when you see us traveling from island to island, we're really researching to see how we can improve each island. All right. I think someone had told me it's better to use ferries than to use the planes, et cetera, et cetera. We can do both. There's no reason that we can't use both to attach our islands. And so ferries can be used because you want to take your car with you and that kind of stuff. I think we can do both. The airplane is much faster. And the airplanes can hop from island to island in a circle of islands. And the airplanes can go, there's another circle. So these circles cross each other, then another circle up on the top. And so it's like a bus route now. Everything is just innovation. So if you want to go from Inagua to Grand Bahama, if there is no direct flight between Inagua and Nassau, and then you have to wait the next day to go to Grand Bahama, then on every day, you're going to have these bus routes, these air bus routes that are moving so that by that same day, you can get to Grand Bahama or Nassau, wherever you're trying to go, when they don't have direct flights every day. So again, you can go from Inagua to Maguana to Auckland to Crooked Island to Long Island. Right? You jump off in Long Island, and then you go from Long Island to Exuma, Cat Island, to New Providence. New Providence, you can jump off and you go from New Providence. It goes from New Providence. Again, you're not coming off the plane, so just jumping and stopping. And these are literally half. If 6:30 in the morning you leave from Inagua, it only takes minutes to get to each one of these islands. They're very close. And so in a couple of hours, you're in Long Island, taking the connection, and then soon you're in Nassau, and then you're jumping off. And then from Nassau, you're going to Grand Bahama. And this can work because those planes are only working in that loop. And there's a hub that manages the planes, that stores the planes, et cetera, et cetera. You don't ever leave there. They're different than the direct road planes that are happening now. All right. But those are to make sure that we can get from any island, any day that we see. All right. Let me see. Okay, Ian Smith. Let me answer your question. Let me put this up on there so everyone can see it. Lincoln Bain, you speak the language of satanic globalists, Gabal, that has an agenda of taking over national sovereignty of nation states. What change do your party really represent? I don't know what you're talking about, but we are not talking about globalization. We're talking about empowering us and our nation. Don't mix us up. All right? We are fighting against the domination of any other nation over our nation. And that domination includes the illegal immigrants from the South that are coming here and dominating our nation. And it includes the immigrants or the nations from the North that are dominating our nation. We are going to be able to negotiate from a position of strength. We want to strengthen our country using our natural resources like other countries have so that we don't have to bow to anyone. The borrower is the slave to the land. We will borrow no more. We will not go around borrowing and begging like our current prime minister is doing, becoming slaves now to Africa, embarrassing our nation by borrowing $30 million to build a shopping center that is seen as a victory, borrowing $1.4 million to buy ambulances. That is not just decrepit, that is embarrassing. And is making us slaves when we don't have to be. And so what we are doing is we are going to empower our people, one, and our nation with our natural resources so that we don't have to borrow from anyone. We're going to start lending. We're going to start lending to other nations. We believe not in independence. We believe in interdependence. We believe in interdependence, where every nation has something to offer to the rest of the world. That's what we believe in. So I hope I answered that for you. We will bow to no master. Our president will not bow to any other nation for any reason. I told the story before of Qatar. And Qatar, you can now see, is on a global stage, powerful, and a lot of negotiations in the world is going to Qatar. They are a middleman for all of these negotiations. Qatar is a tiny little dot with about 300,000+ citizens. Of course, they have almost 3 million citizens, but people living in their country, but 300,000+ are citizens. And they use their natural resources so that they don't have to bow to anybody. They signed the WTO, they're part of that. And the WTO came to them and said, listen, your rules are benefiting your citizens too much, and it is blocking foreign competition or foreign entry. And so you have to change your rules. You can't make it so that Qatari has to own 51% of any business that comes here. No, we got to change your rules. And Qatar said, no, we're not changing our rules. Our country's for our people. And so that's the globalists coming to them, telling them what to do. And so Qatar said, no, we're keeping our rules. You can take it or leave it. So they said, well, we're going to have to put sanctions on you because you're part of WTO. So they said, no, don't waste time. You're not going to put sanctions. You don't have to do that. That's a lot of paperwork and stuff. What to do is we'll shut down our gas mines, our gas fields, and we'll shut down our oil mines. And so you don't have to worry about that. We've already made all of our citizens extremely wealthy. Hold the line, caller. We've made our citizens extremely wealthy for generations to come, like what Frankie Wilson and them doing. And so we don't have to worry about anything. We'll just shut it down. They said, hey, no, you're being rash. What we'll do is we'll come back in 5 years. We'll renegotiate, and you can you can we can make a decision from there. They negotiated from a position of strength. We have two things: position to America. We're in the gate of America. We should have used that for more than drug smuggling. All right, that's the first thing. And we have natural resources that the whole world needs to build. Lime for the limestone, and we have sand, aragonite, et cetera, go on and on. We need to know our strength and stop living off of debt. Our whole government lives off debt, not income. Everything they do, they borrow. You got to buy ambulances, you got to borrow for that? What is that? Let's go to phone lines. Good afternoon, you're live.
Good night, Mr. President.
Good night.
Good night, Bahamas. Mr. President, could you shed some light or share your thoughts on the recent announcement of Prime Minister Dave that he was going to, or that he is fighting for reparations from slavery for England? Could you share your thoughts on the announcement and also on the hypocrisy of Mr. Brave Davis? Because he himself recently had the opportunity to give Bahamians from their natural resources, but instead he chose to our sovereign wealth fund that could have placed reparations in the hands of each and every Bahamian citizen, and chose to instead put all of that fund into a system that he himself controls. How hypocritical is it for you to demand reparations from England for slavery, and in the same token, you yourself are withholding possible reparations from Bahamians by repealing a vehicle that could have provided them with reparations? Could you share your thoughts on that for me, please?
Thank you for that, and thank you for that question. But I think you answered the question in your statement. Reparations are good, and I think that wherever possible, we should seek to get reparations, even if it bankrupts those countries that did such wrong to our people. But the fact is, in some instances, we did get some reparations. I don't think it suffices as a total reparation. We did get some reparations that they are not giving us. Now, let me show you the hypocrisy. Some of the reparations that we got for slavery was the land, all right? So they came here, conquered the land, and they brought us here to slave on the lands because the Indians wouldn't remain their slaves. So they brought us here. And so we worked the land, and when they were leaving, the slave masters left the land to all of their former slaves. And so that's why you have generation property on all of these family islands that is left by the slave master for the slaves so they can use the land to benefit. Okay? Now, what our current slave masters are doing, and that is our own black persons who are governing our countries, managing it for us, they wouldn't let us use that land for capital. We can use that land as much as we want, but they won't give us the deeds for the land. So the F&M and PLP won't give us the deeds for the land the slave masters left for us so that we can now use it for capital to get a loan or sell some of it to raise capital, develop the other parts of it. But they want to talk about getting reparations from England so that they can thief it. They want more money to steal. That's all that they can be talking about, because we got some of the reparations through the land that's left for all of the people and their generations of the slaves who worked there. But they're not giving us that. So what Brave Davis is doing is a sham and a distraction. I will tell Philip Brave Davis, if you believe in reparations, then allow Bahamians to benefit and get deeds for the generation property that was left to all of the people given from the slave masters to those people.
Yes, sir. One other point too.
The other part, before you go on, the other part of what you said is we saw Brave Davis steal our carbon credits, and we saw them steal our sovereign wealth fund, and so we know he's not interested in the people benefiting. So even if that reparation comes, they're going to take that as a country, and they're going to then find ways to give contracts to their cronies and to suck it out through the contracts that they give to their cronies. That's why they will tell you, even with the sovereign fund, they'll say, no, you can't give it to the people. What we could do is we go build roads and bridges and do this and that. That's contracts. So whenever they talk about what they could do with it, they could mention contracts. Why? Because then they can inflate the contracts. They can say, oh, we got to build this bridge. That bridge probably costs $5 million to build. They can say, oh, this is a $60 million bridge. And then they're going to suck the money out of it and steal it from us. So reparations, no, start by giving us that generation property, 1, and 2, start our crown land that the Queen gave us. It's a different type of reparation. The Queen and them were going bankrupt, and they forced us to get independence. They chose some countries to keep under their rulership. But countries like ours, they gave us this fake thing called independence because they couldn't afford to maintain us anymore. So as a part of the reparations, the crown land is for the benefit of the people. So the Queen left the land. You see, in those days, land is considered wealth. In all generations, land, especially in those days, land is considered wealth. And so when they leave you land, they're leaving you wealth, because everything is done on land. If you want to open a business, that's on land. Natural resources are in the land. Everything you do, you have to live on land. Land is the ultimate wealth. All right? It's the first thing that God gave man. Queen gave us the crown land, but they don't even want to give us that. So we got a portion of our reparations from the slave master, just a portion, and we got a portion of our reparations from the Queen, but we can't get none. But they want the cash money to thief. Go ahead.
Okay. Thanks for that insightful response. I really appreciate it. And of course, you're absolutely right. Without land, there's nothing you can do. Land feeds us. It provides us with sanctity, security, dwelling place and abode. It does all of that. It is the quintessential necessity of life, other than oxygen and water. There's land.
Yes.
You must have it. It is the start of, it is where wealth starts.
And
also,
it is the nation. The land is the nation. When you want to know where America is, they show you a map. And that map outlines the land. And that land defines the nation, not the people. Not the people. The land defines the nation. So if you allow your land to be sold out to everyone else, if you allow foreign illegal immigrants to come and take your land, if you allow all of your land to be sold to foreigners, you've lost your entire nation. You are nothing anymore. Hence the purpose for the the Property Removal Act. Go ahead. The Movable Properties Act. Sorry. Go ahead.
Once again, absolutely correct. A nation is defined by its land. Once you've removed the land, that nation is scattered. Whatever other land they decide to occupy is another man's land.
Yeah.
You can't take 400,000 Bahamians, relocate them to America and say this is the Bahamas. It is no longer. You have lost the Bahamas. You have lost your identity. You are now in America, and you must accept where you are as America. You cannot go there and make it the Bahamas or whatever. That being said, Philip Davis also, this is how you tell that this whole reparation thing is a sham. It's just one big circus show, and he's the head clown. He's asking for reparations for the people demanding reparations, but he has not told the people what plans to do with those reparations. Are you going to now put those into another special vehicle fund that you are now going to control? Let's hypothetically assume that England decides to pay every Bahamian citizen $1 million, as reparations for all they endured during slavery, hypothetically, right? What exactly is going to happen to that money? How is that money going to be disseminated? Who is going to control? How will Bahamians receive that money, or where's that money going? Did you not think about this when you were demanding reparations? You do not have a serious argument because you don't have an argument, period.
Correct. That is correct.
So I don't know where he's going with all this smoke and mirror and this party to make Bahamians feel as though he is doing something. I mean, similarly, like how you mentioned earlier with the ambulances and his climate change facade. You are preaching, you are advocating, you are saying you're the face of climate change, but your country is exemplifying the face of utter pollution. You just bought a bunch of new ambulances, and not a one of them is an electric ambulance. You just bought tons of new police vehicles, and all of them are fuel guzzling monsters. You just bought new generators. You have not even converted your electrical grid to try to save pollution or to try to do anything about climate change. You are the ultimate hypocrite.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, that's all I have to say, Mr. President. Thank you so much for sharing your thoughts.
Yeah. All right, man. I see another comment here. I see another comment here by this Ian person. This seemed to be like this is going to be the PLP-FNM's next tactic of attack. So I guess it's interesting. They said Agenda 2030. They're playing with words now. You are a mole from the satanic, wicked Bill Gates, George Soros. Listen to me. I am not interested in all of this. I have zero interest in all of this talk about satanic this and that. Vision 2030 is a plan. Is a plan for our nation to empower our nation and empower our people, and no other nation. Just us. No other people. Just our people. And so I don't know where you get this nonsense from, but please go to the left with that. All right? We have no interest in that. Let me go to the bottom. I'm going to miss all of your comments. I see a bunch of comments here, but I can't all of them. Okay. All right. So we're going to move to the New Bahamas, and we're going to move there to empower our people. And that's it. All right. The PLP and FNM have been tricking us. I want you to know that Pike is a business partner of Frankie Wilson and Tommy Turnquest in Eleuthera. All right, Pike, who just got the BPL thing. They are stealing right in front of our faces. They're stealing our whole entire nation. That's what they're doing. All right, and so we have to do something. And so what do we have to do? You have to join the fight. You have to help us to get this done. Spread the message. Every Sunday religiously, I come at 5 o'clock. And if I got to be late, because today I was traveling, had no choice, it's going to be 8 o'clock. Sunday at 5 o'clock, we go live where you hear what your talking points are for that week. So go to talk to people about what you heard on today. Talk to them about the truth that you now know about the PLP and FNM and how they've really been operating, how they've been partnering with businesses, etc., how they've been raping and robbing this country, how they've been passing it towards each other all this time, making us think that we were voting for something different. And you know what the result of that was? That there are people who now say, no matter who go there, they ain't gonna change, because they actually thought they were tricked, and they still tricked. The veil is still over their eyes. They're thinking that the PLP and FNM was different, and so the change wasn't gonna come because they voted for change, but the change didn't happen. So no matter who go there, it's gonna be the same. No, you've never changed. You've never changed. We went from the UBP to 60 to PLP in 67. We've never had change since. Never. Finland made sure that they kept the political power. And it was a brilliant plan, and it lasted for generations until this generation woke up. And the UBP made sure they kept the financial part of it. And so people are discouraged, which I understand, and some people are saying that no, they're not going to vote. And that's what they want. They want you to not vote because they know you're going to start getting discouraged. So now they're bringing in the legal immigrants from elsewhere, giving them status, and they're going to be so appreciative that they're going to vote. So they saw that most Bahamians didn't want to vote last time. And so they know a lot more of you are going to say, man, I ain't even voting, I'm wasting my time. You know what I'm going to do? Being come there, he can do the same thing. What makes you think he can do any different? No, I ain't voting, I ain't wasting my. That's what they want. Because to not vote is the same as voting for whoever wins. Not voting is voting for whoever wins. So you're responsible for whatever happens. Likewise. All right? But they are bringing in a new voting bloc who hasn't been getting swing from them all these years and just got some of them citizenship. And they want them to vote for them. So they want you to vote. So that these new people they control, fresh blood, that they get their vote. And you, who's discouraged, okay, you go on that side. Don't vote. And guess what? You can start hearing them say, man, only two parties, all of them will be the same. You can be just like us. You can hear them say this because that's their plan. They want you to feel like ain't nothing gonna change. So don't vote because they want this new crew to vote that they can control, that owes them something. Wake up. All right? Let's spread the gospel. All right, so someone says land is the most precious natural resource. Yes, it is. And all natural resources are in the land. All right? All the natural resources are in land. Even the ocean is on land. Even the ocean is on land. But when you don't know what you have, that's when you can be abused. All right? And so that's where the problem is. All right? But thank you. This was an interesting one today. I didn't intend to go into some of the stuff I said, but we said it anyway. We got to educate our people. And so we had an interesting day. We did almost 2.5 hours today. Thank you for your calls. Thank you for your comments. And you know I couldn't read all of them. I'm so sorry. And so for those people trying to reach me, you just got to keep trying. I'm spending a lot of time fighting for the New Bahamas, and I got to spend some time doing work. Some people call me. They want me to research. They want me to do something. And so if I just spend all my time answering the phone and answering text, I can't get to the work of the persons who did. And so it'll get better in short order. We'll be running the country, and we'll have a strong team to answer the phone and to deal with certain things. Until then, we're going to do as much as we can, but we have to take some time preparing for the new nation and planning that out. We don't want any excuses. We're not like the PLP and F&M that come in and say, oh, we didn't know this, we didn't know that. It's foolishness. That's excuses. All right? One of the first things we're planning for is hurricane preparedness. Everyone that comes in is hit with a major hurricane. We're going to be putting plans in place immediately. What is going to happen when we get hit with a big hurricane? Immediately. We're going to start immediately building hurricane shelters. These are important things. And so we're going to be multitasking. There's a lot of talented Bahamians that we're going to call back home to help to build this new nation. I wish I had time today to show you the salt pond and the vision we have for that and how much potential that has. That is, we're going to take this country back. Thank you for spending your entire Sunday evening with us. I know a lot of people, you use all your data trying to watch this, and some people can only watch this now when they have Wi-Fi, and some people don't even have electricity. We understand your pain and your hurt, and that's why we're doing this. But sacrifice, spend the time here, and go and spread the word. What's important is not just listening, not just watching. That's important. You got to watch. Because your eyes, when they see them views, that scares them. You watch it as much time as you could. But even though you didn't watch this, you come back and watch it again. Even if you only watch it for 10 seconds, just watch it 10 seconds every day. You watch it for 10 seconds. That does something to the algorithm. All right, you hear me? So remember that hint. Even a couple of times today, go back to the video, watch it just 10 seconds. Just watch it, and that does something that confuses the algorithm and what the government is trying to. Right? There's really any time over 3 seconds, but you watch it 10 seconds and you can turn it back off. All right, so spend your time doing that. That confuses the algorithm and it hurts them on their plans to what they're doing to us. But like I said, go out there and spread the message. Share this in all your groups. Make sure people know what's going on. When them conversations start, they talking about football and basketball and all that stuff. You change the subject. You start talking about our country. All right? We're going to do what we have to do. And so they are terribly afraid of this. That's the PLP and the FNM. Terribly afraid. So they're going to start making up stuff on all of us. They're going to start attacking us. So I probably need to do a show and see, you know, what creative way they're going to come at me. Will they plant some drugs in my car? Will they send some woman to lie on me? To say I sexually assaulted her. I mean, what are they going to say? They're going to try to find something original, because that's what they do, because they got to discredit me. And if that doesn't work, will I be speaking somewhere and they shoot at me? Will they do it while I have my kids in the car and I'm coming out of the food store? This is serious business. There's billions of dollars at stake, and I want you to understand that. They're going to try to paint us as the big bad wolf. They're going to attack us on petty levels like you see them doing to Maria Daxon. But I want you to stay focused on the new Bahamas. Keep spreading the message of a new Bahamas. Don't say, Lincoln Bean, you got to come in, you got to do this and that. No. You are there. Soften the land so that by the time as we reach, it just flows. And so there are people softening the land in Long Island already. We didn't even know that. There are people we never met that are spreading the message every day. There's one fella that he called him Lincoln Bean. He talks about me so much. They're all over the place, must be on almost every job place. They have someone that they actually call Lincoln Bean because he spreads the message of the new Bahamas so much. And I want to thank all of you for doing that. You really want a new country. All right. And so you are doing yeoman's work. All right. Thank you for doing that. You're going to save this country. And it's not just the people on the front line that everyone sees that's making this happen. It's the people behind the scenes like you. All right. So Donald Mitchell said, that's me. Thank you so much. So like I said, wherever we go, there's some people who are soft in the ground so that when we come, the message is that much easier because you've already started the work. You may not be able to explain it as good as me, but you can come here and you can say, hey, come watch this with me. Some people go by their family and say, no, y'all can sit down, put it on YouTube, and we can watch this together. And they sit down together and watch it. Everyone who hears the message, who watches the documentaries and start to see this, they're converted. The only people who don't believe or understand now is people who haven't actually listened or watched. And when you talk to them, you can tell. They say, oh, this and all that. And then you say, have you ever watched Vision 25? Have you ever watched the documentaries? No way. That's why you're saying that. Take some time and watch it. And that's why we put it in videos and not just in writing, because most people don't read. All right. But we can do this together. All right. So God bless you. Long Island, we're going to be there for you. We're going to send your candidate very soon. But we're coming to some more. Abaco, we're coming on November 9th. Abaco, we're coming on November 9th. So get ready. We're having an event on November 9th. We'll give you more details in the coming weeks. But get ready, get ready, get ready. Oh, my birthday this week. It's the 20th already. Oh my God. My birthday is on Saturday. All right. So I'm going to have lots and lots of ice cream on Saturday. All right. So unless you call me to wish me happy birthday, don't call me about nothing else on Saturday. Don't call me about your land issue, this issue, and that issue, and your landlord will give me one day. All right. So on Saturday, that's going to be no, I'm speaking to an event on Saturday. I'm speaking to a leadership conference on Saturday. I don't get any break. I'm actually speaking on Saturday to a leadership event. I have a speech, and so I'm going to deliver that. And then I'm going to have lots and lots of ice cream. That's going to be in the morning. And then after that, I'm going to have lots of ice cream. All right. So I don't drink. I don't smoke. I don't do drugs. I do ice cream. So God bless you. I love you. We're going to continue doing this. Don't get distracted by the PLP or FNM. Don't fall for Pintard and his little dirty tricks. Somebody says my daughter's birthday is on the 28th. Yeah, I went to primary school with Tamara on her birthday. Tamara Boodle King, her birthday is on the 28th. And so a lot of good people born in October. All right, so my birthday is on the 28th. I'm going to be celebrating. Still young. I'm still in my 40s. And at the next election, I'll still be in my 40s. And we're going to take this country to another level. So thank you for watching. We appreciate you. We'll see you again on Sunday at 5 o'clock, if not having hangover from ice cream. God bless you.